I remember being sat there one time. This is completely 100% true. I remember we interviewed this one girl for an assistant psychologist position, and we asked her that question, and we said, tell us about what literature you've read in the past 3 months, blah, blah, blah. And I remember she sat there, and I kid you not, this is exactly what she responded with. She responded with memes that she read on Twitter. I was just like, this is not what we want to hear. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Psychologist. I've got an amazing episode for you guys. I'm so excited about this episode. It's all about the 3 themes in any assistant psychologist interview. But as always, before we get into this video, please help us reach our goal to get 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2018. So please click that subscribe button. Please, it would mean the world to us. We are trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. And also follow us on our social medias. They will be about here. Oh, and one other thing. In this video, we are going to be talking about 3 themes, but we did write an article on 7 themes in any assistant psychologist interview. Today, we're only going to be talking about 3, but the link to that article will be in the description. So please check that out. It has already helped thousands of psychology graduates get assistant psychologist jobs. Okay, so let's get into the first theme. The first theme is one question that I always get in any assistant psychologist interview I've ever been in. This is the one question that I always hear, and you're guaranteed to get this question. If not, then there's something wrong with that interview panel. And that question is, tell us about a case that you've worked on, and tell us about things that have gone well and also things that have gone badly. Now, within this question, all they're looking for is how reflective you are, to see your ability on how to be reflective. And that is so simple, but a lot of psychology graduates get this completely wrong. A lot of the times they think, oh my God, I need to show them that I'm perfect. And all you do is you give them all the best things that happen in that in the case. And that is exactly what they don't want. They don't want to see someone that's perfect, that's a perfect clinician, that knows exactly what they're doing, that's a finished product. If they wanted that, they'd hire a clinical psychologist. What they want to see from you is how reflective you can be, and also how you can show them all the bad things that you did within that case and all the things that you did to improve yourself. I'll give you an example of the last assistant psychologist interview that I went for, and I got asked this exact same question. Tell us about a case that you've worked on and tell us the good things and the bad things that happened within that case. And I basically started off, you would think that I'd start off with the good things. I helped the client do this, but I started off with all of the bad things. I basically said to that panel, I didn't know what I was doing. I started off, I saw this client, I got to know him, and then I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. But I showed them the steps that I took to improve myself. Things like seeking out supervision, speaking to different clinicians on what they would do with this case and things like that. All these like case discussions. And that was exactly what they wanted to hear. They didn't want to hear someone say, oh my God, I had this case and I did 12 sessions of CBT and it was amazing, it went perfect, and they went home and they did everything I asked them to do. And things like that just don't happen. But showing them that, these are the things that happen, these are the bad things that happen, but this is how I came back from it. This is exactly what my dad used to always say to me. It's not the problem that's the problem, it's how you come back from the problem that defines you. And this is exactly what panels for assistant psychologist interviews want to hear, how you came back from the problem. But if you still need some extra advice on how to be reflective, or if this is something that you're struggling with, we did make another video on how to be reflective. The link will be in the description, so check that out and leave a like for that as well. Okay, let's get into theme number 2. Now, this theme is something that the first time I went for an assistant psychologist interview, this is something that completely threw me off because it's something that I just was not expecting. And that was when they asked me the question, tell us about a piece of literature that you've read recently that applies to this job role and how you've applied that in your own practice. This is something that completely threw me. I remember being sat in that interview just thinking, oh my God, I have no idea. And I remember having to really dig deep into my kind of long-term memory to think, what have I read about this population, about this service that might be able to help me in this situation? And thankfully, I think it was like 3 months before, I think I read like an article about, so it was something to do with the service and something to do with that exact population. And that was something that I still say to this day completely saved me. And it wasn't like I was going into so much detail about the actual article. I just basically said what the aims were, what they found, and how I can apply that to my everyday practice. I did kind of throw in some kind of criticisms as well, but that was because I was doing my masters and I was kind of in that mode to kind of criticize different articles and things like that. But this is something that a lot of psychology graduates don't know about. They're not prepared for this type of question. Exactly how I was when I sat down and they asked me that question. Luckily, I was able to remember something that I read previously. But literally, I've been on panels, and I've been on panels for assistant psychologist interviews in the past. And I remember being sat there one time. This is completely 100% true. I remember we interviewed this one girl for an assistant psychologist position, and we asked her that question, and we said, tell us about what literature you've read in the past 3 months, blah, blah, blah. And I remember she sat there, and I kid you not, this is exactly what she responded with. She responded with memes that she read on Twitter around mental health and psychology, and she tried to pass that off as academic literature that she's read. And I could see just by looking at her while she was sat trying to answer this question that she was completely panicking. She had no idea she was going to get this question, and she wasn't prepared for it. And that's exactly why I'm making this video. So people that are watching this aren't in that same position. That was just hilarious. I remember just thinking, when she said, I saw this meme on Twitter, and I was just like, this is not what we want to hear. And the last theme is something that I never hear anyone in the psychology world talking about, and that is questions around time management. This question is so crucial, especially in assistant psychologist interviews. Now, basically what this means is, and the type of questions that you might get around this topic is, how do you manage your time? How do you work autonomously? Now, this could be, and this is completely different to support worker roles or healthcare assistant roles, because usually in those roles, you're told what to do and when to do it and things like that. But when you're an assistant psychologist, that's not the case. You are expected to work autonomously and also fill your time appropriately. I'll give you an example of my very first day of being an assistant psychologist, and I think I've spoken about this in other videos, but it was basically when I turned up on my first day, super excited. It was my first ever assistant psychologist position, so I was super excited. And I remember going there and sitting down and just thinking, okay, what do I do? And I remember my manager came and said, oh, Abdi, why don't you try and do all your login stuff and things like that, speak to IT about getting a login, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, cool. Did that super quickly. It took about half an hour to an hour to get everything up and running. And I remember I just sat there, and then 2 hours or 3 hours later, my manager comes back to me. She's like, so what have you done? And I'm like, I did the login. And she's like, what else have you done? And I said, just that. She goes, no. She goes, you need to fill your time appropriately. And that was one of the biggest lessons I ever learned from going from a support worker to an assistant psychologist. And don't forget, a lot of these time management questions could be hidden in other questions. So it's not going to be directly, how do you fill your time? It could be questions around, what would you do to prepare for this case? What would you do with your time to prepare for supervision or something like that? And with those questions, what they're asking and what they're looking for is basically how you manage your time. Because at the end of the day, no one's going to tell you how to fill your time. You just have to know, okay, I need to do this, and this is what I need to prioritize, and I can leave that for later, and manage your time appropriately, because this is absolutely essential in being an assistant psychologist. And there you have it. There are the 3 themes in any assistant psychologist interview. I really hope that this has helped you in any way, especially those that are going for assistant psychologist interviews in the near future. There are the 3 themes in any assistant psychologist interview. Also, bear in mind, we do have an article down in the description on the 7 themes in any assistant psychologist interview. In this video, we only spoke about 3, but down there's 7. And also, please help us reach our goal to get 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2018 by subscribing to the Psychologist channel. Please, it would really mean a hell of a lot to us. Follow us on all of our social medias. Thanks for watching Psychologist. Like if you're liking this, and I'll see you next time.